Hello, everyone. I was asked today whether we can be with our loved ones who are no longer in their bodies, who've passed away, feel like we're connected to them, even though we're in the relative world. And this person used video game. They said, I feel like I'm in a video game and I want to feel connected while I'm in this video game of life with people that have passed away. And so the answer to that is yes. Whether you know it or not, you're connected to your loved ones at all time. They never leave you. They become part of you at a deeper level when they drop their body. Because when we're in the body, there's a stress associated to being within a body and having this very individual experience and attached to a personality and a perspective in the world. And so when you're interacting with your loved one and they have your past together and worries and fears and a personality type, there can sometimes be a little bit of a clash and things that you need to forget, or irritations, or wounding, and that all drops. As soon as the body's dropped, all of that stuff is dropped also. So the connection is clearer. It gets deeper. You actually become more connected to your loved ones when they drop the body. They're more able to shine a cosmic light into your life. And it's so important to feel that you're not alone. Because sometimes people say, oh no, I'm so alone. My mother died, my father died, my cat died, my dog died. They didn't die. Like death sounds so final. They didn't die. They transitioned into a space where they can be closer to you, actually. But the way they're closer to you, you have to be sensitive to, because it's not a verbal place, it's a non-verbal connection. And so it can be like you're going to go through a needle, like a thread through a needle. You can miss that connection because you're in your grief or you just don't believe. And so the stillness, if you go into the stillness, you can connect to them. And they can come to you in a myriad of ways, through dreams, through audio clairvoyance. You can hear them sometimes. They can communicate verbally, through electricity, through light, through mediums that you can't remember. Sometimes, and it's going to get trippy, but I'll throw it out anyway. They can communicate to you and you can receive that communication, but then you forget it. It's like this amnesia happens. And I think that's because the personality isn't quite ready to fully comprehend or understand that other reality. And it needs to maybe just focus on paying the bills, or, getting a job, or looking after the practical stuff in life, or just, I don't know why that is fully, but the personality kind of keeps the memory of that at bay. And we have to trust there's a reason for that, because ultimately you're also going to transition and know everything and know that that connection exists. But while you're in the body, you have work to do. And if it's going to be distracting for you to be communicating in a non-physical realm, then you'll forget. But what's trippy is you may be connecting with them a lot and forgetting that you've connected with them. I know this a little bit because sometimes I will have experiences where I'm connecting to things non-physically, and I know I'm going to forget it. And then I will have a very faint knowing that I connected. Other times I don't forget it. There isn't the amnesia. But sometimes when you're doing advanced meditation techniques, you can have so many celestial experiences that need to be integrated. It's probably easier for you to just not remember them all because it just would trip you out. And so it will select the ones it wants you to remember. And when the celestial world gets integrated into your physiology, the first thing you notice is you're fearless around death. You're fearless around things that maybe the personality would have a fear of. And that's a sign that you're clearly connecting to something non physically, and there's this shared transmission of knowledge. Whether you remember that or not, it doesn't really matter. Some people, they just experience deeper levels of stillness and they don't remember any of their celestial connections, or maybe they don't have them. You don't necessarily need to have like a visual seeing of a person that's loved, and passed. You can have an emotional feeling. It can come in so many different ways that you can smell. Any of the senses can be used by loved ones to communicate with you. And it can be unusual. Sometimes there can be flashes of faces and we don't know who they are. Sometimes you'll know who they are. I'll do a separate video on astral traveling, um, and speaking to people who have passed away. It is an interesting space. But you do have to be wary because once you open the door, sometimes it can get very noisy. It's like a telegram goes out to the non-physical world. Hey, this person wants to chat, and then everybody wants to come in and talk to you, whether you know them personally or not. And then you can get exhausted because when you open up a doorway into a non-physical realm, your physiology has to rise up into the vibration of that place. And it can get a little bit fried. I know when I first opened that door, it was exhausting. Now it's not so exhausting, but I have stuff to do and practically. And so I've learned ways to close it so that I can just get on with my practical life. But if you're an individual, if you're wanting to connect, just be wary that it 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 can get you into trouble. I'm going to do a separate video on that. But back to the initial question, which is feeling connected to loved ones who've passed and feeling like you're alone or you're in a video game of life. The loved ones who have passed are shining their highest perspective into every area of the video game of life. So the more people you've known that have passed, the easier the video game is for you to live. People usually think it's the other way around. They think, oh, I lost my family or I lost my pet. Life's going to be harder now. That's a misunderstanding. It's going to be easier because they are at a higher vantage point. They are interested in helping you. They don't have anything else to do because they're not going to work and paying the bills and taking care of everything. So they can shine a lot of wisdom and guidance into your life and make it easier for you. And people miss this. They think that it needs to be harder when it can be way, way easier. But sometimes this belief that life's the end and the grief and all the misunderstandings That's what's making it hard. That's what makes the video game hard, the ignorance. But if you drop the ignorance, then you'll be sensitive to the video game being way, way easier. And we have a human body, and the grief arises, and we must never suppress it, and we must express it. But once that's flowed through and been expressed, then the ease that can come into your life through having all of that non-physical intelligence and all of the support is incredible. So absolutely, you are taken care of. You're never alone. Absolutely never, never alone. In fact, it's just so noisy in the non-physical world. When you start to tap into it, it's so there's so many people around, there's so many beings around, there's so many expressions of laws of nature vibrating in a place that the eyes can't see, surrounding you at all times. You have no idea how noisy it is and how not alone you are. When you start to get sensitive, you can actually hear a hum, you can hear things, you can feel things. And part of being able to just function is to kind of keep that stuff at bay so it doesn't get really noisy. But know that there are so many non-physical beings that are your cheerleaders, that are looking after you and guiding you in a billion ways that you have no idea. So just relax and know everything's going to be okay and you're taken care of. Jay Gurudev.